I wrote Wart out of the Super Mario Galaxy movie, and in my opinion, it turned out better. Look, I know a lot of people didn't have any problems with Wart being in the film, as I enjoyed that scene a lot. But in my opinion, it just could have been better. Hey, everybody, it's Ray Ray. Let's get right into the rewrite. Look, the first thing I have to say about this is that I enjoyed the movie. I mean, no disrespect to the people at Nintendo and Illumination who worked hard on this film, as it really showed. I just felt like it was more that Wart and Birdo and Clawgrip and Mouser didn't really belong here. They were more of just like an add-on to make fans go goo goo gaga over Mario Brothers 3 references. And that's fine, but this is a Mario Galaxy movie we're talking about. It needs to be a Mario Galaxy movie. So I decided that it would also save characters for the third film if they were to cut Wart, Birdo, Clawgrip, and Mouser out of it. But if we're cutting them out, who would take their place? Don Pianta. Alright, look, before I get a bunch of criticisms of like, oh, Don Pianta is not in Mario Galaxy either. I know, but he has more of a connection to the story than you may think. In my rewrite of the film, I decided that Peach and Toad would follow Yukiki as normal. This time, instead of following them into the big question block multi-gravity casino, they'd follow him into a smaller casino. This casino would be run by Don Pianta and the Pianta Syndicate from Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. Peach would proceed to do the same things she does with Wart, and maybe we could keep the same dialogue between the two. It would just change slightly because Don Pianta would say, I'll give you the information about Rosalina if you defeat my pet. Peach and Toad would then be launched to a small planet where they would fight Dino Piranha, or Pee-wee Piranha, as this is the first boss you fight in Super Mario Galaxy, meaning that it would have more of a connection to the plot than that giant Mario Brothers 3 pit boss fight. Now that I have that covered, what does Don Pianta have to do with this? Well, Don Pianta, as you may know, is a Pianta, and Piantas were originally introduced in Super Mario Sunshine, where one of the bosses was called Petey Piranha. Note, Piranha, Dino Piranha, Petey Piranha. Whenever I see Dino Piranha, I think of Petey, as Sunshine came out before Galaxy did. This made me realize that, okay, Don Pianta might have a closer connection to a Mario Galaxy boss, as he's a Pianta, and Dino is a piranha plant. It just made sense in my brain that the two would be more connected than a Mario Brothers 3 casino in a Mario Galaxy movie. The next thing I thought about was, okay, if you had to have the casino, Wart doesn't have anything to do with them in his game. I mean, Mario Brothers 3 isn't really known for a casino and gambling thing. However, in Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door, where we're introduced to Don Pianta, his one and only appearance, he is depicted as head of the Pianta Syndicate and owner of a casino, making more sense for him to run the casino than it would for Wart, just a random guy that they pulled. Don Pianta also has more lore depth than Wart, and more fans, because Thousand-Year Door is a game that is beloved by a bunch of people throughout the world. And Thousand-Year Door is considered one of the RPGs, which introducing RPG characters could open a lot of doors for future films. Like, RPGs plots don't usually always be, oh, a princess got kidnapped. If Don Pianta was in the movie, it would open the door for other RPG characters. Then, those RPG characters could introduce different plot points and story depth, as the Mario RPGs were known for having extremely deep stories, much like Super Mario Galaxy. Now that's how Don Pianta connects to the Mario Galaxy. But why change the casino? Because it fits more in with Galaxy? Why am I even going through all this effort anyway to record a video doing something of what might have been and pondering in the what ifs of the Mario universe? Well, when I went to theaters and hey, even when the title first got dropped for Mario Galaxy, I was excited. I was extremely excited. There was nothing I wanted more than to see one of my favorite video games of all time on the big screen with Rosalina and her character depth. But in the end, we got a good Mario movie sequel, but it wasn't a good Mario Galaxy movie. Because Galaxy has so many beloved elements that if they implemented them all, they wouldn't have room for a bunch of their references. And references are fine. I loved how they tried to do a deep cut with Wart, whom only long term fans would recognize. But based on the rewrite I just did, it's possible to do deep cuts and still have a Mario Galaxy movie. It's not that I'm against deep cuts. I'm maybe against certain deep cuts. Because the amount of non Mario characters that made an appearance in this, or characters that aren't even of any correlation to Galaxy in general, not even at a long distance like Don Pianta, like a certain furry someone. Anyway, I just hope that if all the fans can come together, maybe, for the third Mario movie, it'll be less about making people point at a screen and go, oh wow, I know that's from the games. It might take inspiration from the actual game itself. If you're going to title a movie after something, you should make sure that the movie fits the title. And I get that the bar for Galaxy is extremely high, but I'm just hoping that maybe Nintendo will focus on telling a better story and connecting their references to the plot in better ways. Like references that could be specifically, if you go back quite a bit, tied to the plot. Like I just did with Don Pianta. He gives you a deep cut, and but he still correlates with the Mario Galaxy universe, if you think about it. But those are just my thoughts. I'm hoping Nintendo can do better in the movie cinematic universe in the future. Like I said earlier, this is no hate to the people behind the movie. I really enjoyed it in theaters. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't a good Mario Galaxy movie. Anyway, I'm hoping to do more rewrites of certain scenes to make them more Galaxy-y, if you know what I'm saying. But this is all I got time for now. See you guys next time. I'm Ray Ray. It's been cray cray.